Okay. Hello. Good afternoon. Actually, it's morning in my normal time, but it is afternoon here. I am traveling right now. So, have a little hotspot situation in a park in Decorah, Iowa. Here for a friend's wedding, but wanted to, yeah, just stay consistent with tuning in on Fridays with just a little chat about this month's theme, which has been relating in a more spacious and open way with time. So this week I wanted to share, I've been calling it my time shift secret, which is not much of a secret for people who know me. Um, but yeah, the piece that I wanted to share today is a little bit about like how I've been working with my relationship with time over the years. And I think the story starts with some context about being raised Catholic, as I'm very open about, and that everything in that upbringing in our household was very ritualized. We had a daily family prayer time at 6:45 in the morning. If you missed it, you had to do the dishes. We had a weekly Sabbath meal every Friday night. If your friends were over, they got to join, much to our um, embarrassment. And it seemed like there was a feast day of some saint every other day. Hi there. Love to have you drop your name in the chat and just let me know where you are and how you're doing today. Good to see you. Yeah, so our family was highly, highly ritualized, which was something I had to leave behind for a little while. Many of us do. But then over the years, have been able to come back to in my own way, and to eventually feel the naturalness of the rhythms that kind of ritualistic life um, really, I think, was oriented towards in its heart, even though there were some ways we did it that were not good for me at that time. But the undercurrent of a life in some rhythm, particularly rhythms tuned to the natural world and the natural cycles, has been profoundly settling for my system. So for the last 10 years, I've been really attempting to return to um, this habit that slowly and subtly but profoundly has changed my relationship with time. And it's a simple habit, as I said, but it's not necessarily easy, mostly because it goes against the grain of dominant culture, at least here in the United States and here in the West. And yeah, that this habit is, broadly speaking, syncing my and attuning my body and cultural rhythms to the seasons of the natural world, which if we look at most of the holidays and holy days of the world's religions, have some kind of tie to observations of the natural world. Like even the Christian Easter to this day is still, I think it's like the first Sunday after the first full moon after the spring equinox, or some calculation like that. So a few simple ways this has looked for me is mostly a lot more rest, a lot more slowing down, particularly at specific seasonal junctures. I've had just a personal tradition the last, more so than the last several couple of years, of spending an afternoon on or as close to the quarter and cross core days, spending it out on my friend's land that's about 40 minutes from town, and just visiting the same place at the seasonal junctures to observe and let the land speak to me and make offerings, and just pause to notice, to kind of let my body be in awareness or kind of in immersion with um, the season that we're in. It's also meant a lot more slowing down, particularly over winter, which is when there's a pretty dramatic push culturally to like speed up and spend more and have more plans, more activity. yeah, I've really worked to guard the winter time as a time of quietude and rest. And the last thing I'll share is it's it's invited me to take a lot more periods of pause during the kind of peak and full and new moon phases, and also during my moon time, so during my bleed times. So letting those different sort of seasonal rhythms, um, not it's I don't have like a strict um, thing around those. There's a lot of fluidity around that, but that orientation towards um, feeling myself a part of rhythms that are bigger than me, and letting myself be carried by rhythms that are bigger than me, um, has profoundly shifted my relationship with time. So this may sound obvious, or maybe something you already unconsciously or consciously do, but I just wanted to name it explicitly for us, it being an important reorientation to time that disrupts, for me at least, it just has disrupted that kind of what more Western linear, onward, upward trajectory of time that has that's much more prominent in the West, much more prominent in sort of Western Christianity's assessment of the arc of time or framework of time, and that often has a real sort of like constant laboring activity and go associated with it. So it just feels important to kind of name that, and to also name that it's a calibration that has felt very natural to me. It's felt like very like kind of following my own a gravitational pull toward into these rhythms that are bigger than me. But it's also something that has taken some effort to um, a, to adjust or to swim against that wider cultural tide. And so I've had to reintegrate and practice it in layers, practice it season after season. So one example of this is like I've practiced and studied Ayurveda for many years, and have done this seasonal cleanse, most often that involves food, like a shift in food, but it doesn't have to. Last spring I didn't do anything food related. It was all like schedule, and like a schedule cleanse basically. And the first time I did that seasonal cleanse, maybe 8 years ago, I went all totally in. You do like a really intense period of like all the daily habits and particular Ayurvedic foods. And then you come out of the intense period, and it's not those times of intense focus are not intended to be how you live forever. It's a time of like deep dive, and then you almost as important is like coming out and reintegrating into life. But often I will notice there's something that's shifted just a bit each time I go deeper and come back out. And it might not be the thing that I've even gone in with intention to work on. But each time there's something that's shifted in my habits or in my mental state or in my relationship with my body. So that calibration to the natural rhythms as a more habitual, like, that goes from kind of conscious, deliberate laboring over time, eventually into just unconscious habits, like it's the most natural thing to do to pause during bleed time or whatever. It takes time and cycling through a few times for those to land in a deeper way. And I'll also say that these things are easier with friends, within culture. because culture, you know, more is a metabolic sort of container and a synthesizing container for at the micro level, you know, of like our gut or our foods, or and at the macro level of like human and more than human interactions. So when we're practicing habits like these as a community, as a larger culture, there's a, you know, fermentation and an exchange of resources that is harder to make happen operating solo. So the question I'll just offer that I'm exploring, I'm exploring with you all this month is like, what is the time culture that you are a part of right now? And like, how's it working? And what kind of time culture do you want to be a part of? And over the last couple of weeks, we've been kind of tuning into some of the words and ways of being around time that, you know, I shared some of my words, but the words that feel more in alignment or bring more balance or more harmony to, that would bring more harmony to your life and to your way of being. And as we kind of gather that sense of like, what would a more spacious or what would a more holistic or well relationship with time look like and feel like, I'll offer that this very question and the habit that I shared today of syncing with the natural rhythms is in large part why I created the offer that I shared last month, which is called Roots and Rhythms, a spirit circle for collective joy. It's a haven for community practice, for big-hearted, earth-loving spiritual seekers who long for a sense of home, for that sense of being grounded, connected, having a nourished center in themselves and in their relationships and in the web of life, from which to navigate skillfully or skillfully enough, even in these troubled and uncertain times. And I'll be sharing more details about it in the coming weeks. Folks will have more opportunities to enroll at various levels. I know over the summer I was seeking this core group of people that would let me feel, you know, kind of stable enough in the offering to widen the scope of it. So I actually didn't get the full enrollment number for that, but I'm trying to be creative with how to open this up more, because it really does feel like, I mean, to be perfectly honest, it's the thing that I need. Like, I need that culture for me to feel more held in that river current that is moving towards a more well relationship with not just time, but with the whole created world that is in a lot of turmoil during this particular juncture. So, yeah, I'll just leave us with this invocation, I guess, a blessing that, you know, when we practice relating to time within a culture oriented towards greater balance and harmony, it's kind of this large scale digestion that changes the ecological landscape and ways of being in relationship with all the layers of that ecology. So the land, humans, plants, animals, spirits, ancestors, each of us. And it doesn't have to be any prescripted way. You know, the traditions have arisen throughout cultures worldwide. And some of you may feel connected to particular traditions through your own lineages, but any one of us can observe and sit, you know, under a tree or under the sky and begin to ask, like, what is this season calling forth in me? What is this season moving and stirring in the wider ecology and in my own inner ecology? So this is part of the journey that I would love to have more people to walk with through. Okay, so that brings me to a close for today. I'm gonna go get my lunch and do the rest of today. I'm here for a wedding, which is tomorrow. But I hope that there was something in that for you. If you have a seasonal practice that has been nourishing for you, I would love to hear what it is. It could be specific to one particular season or something you do sort of rhythmically throughout the year. Yeah, what are the habits that really support you to be in relationship with time in a way that feels good enough, spacious, brings a little more balance. Yeah, I'd just love to hear what other things are nourishing for you all in that regard. Okay, I will talk to you all next week and have a good one.